Angelina's a nice thing to work with. It's very sparkly and just adds a bit of glitter and glamour to your work. It comes in all kinds of colours, but what you must watch out for when you buy it is it standard fix or is it hot fix? Now hot fix is ideal because that's when it melds together. Each of the strands just sticks to the next one. If you buy the standard fix, and I've got some gold here, you would really need to just add that to the hot fix because the standard fix won't adhere to itself. So just take care that you're buying what you actually need and start off with hot fix. I have some samples of sheets of Angelina that I've made already. This one's quite limey green and gold, and this one actually has wire put through it, just a fine wire so that I can bend it and it'll stay into a particular shape. Haven't decided what I'm going to use it for yet, but that's in the store cupboard now. And this one with the wiggly worms in it, I quite like this one. I'm showing you against that purple so that you can see the wiggly worms properly. There we go. I'm going to start now a new sheet, and I've got some Angelina here, which is a nice sort of silvery blue colour. I'm going to put a very thin layer down first of all, just not too much all in the one spot, and that's why I just teasel it out and make this base layer. I'll probably come back over it and put another little lot of the strands on top just to trap all the things that I'm going to spread across this. That would be enough to get us started. And I've got quite a few things at the ready here that we can try. I've got a nice lime green thread that I've put, now it's going to stick to this little plastic case, I think. I'm just going to scatter it at random. I think it's reluctant to come out of this plastic case. That's weird. I think it's full of static. There we go, that'll do. Just a few bits of that nice greeny colour. I've also got some sequins here and even some green sequins that I'll mix in. They'll probably flatten out as I use them. You know, I've got to iron over this to get it all melded together. But if it flattens them, it doesn't matter. It'll still be an interesting texture to it all. Few more here and there, and then I've got these really nice bits of material here that I can use the long strands of the thread. I just pull them out from the material. You can see that what I'm doing there, I think, quite easily, and it's colours that are quite closely related here, but you can go as mad as you like. There are no rules and regulations to this. The one thing that I would call a rule is don't over iron it, because if you do, you'll lose some of the luster of it. So just be careful of that. But I will show you some items later that I have a bit over ironed, so it's not fatal. You just make it into something else. But if you want it to be shiny, don't over iron. Let's see how that looks now. It's looking quite sparkly. I've got some more silver here that I've cut out already, and I think we'll just have another little sprinkle of that, particularly in that middle area. There we go. Bunch it together, and let's put the baking parchment over the top. Oh, now I promised you to put another little layer on top of that. There's a wee mistake on my part. Let's just put another little layer on top, just to hold all these trapped bits together. There we go. And if any of them don't stick, it doesn't matter because they'll just fall onto your sheet and you can scoop them up and use them on another project. As I say, don't over iron, so I think that's about enough. Let's see if that has worked. Oh, it looks rather nice colour. I see, I like that. I quite like that. Can you see how shiny it is? That's nice, I like that. Both sides equally as shiny. I think possibly I could have put more of those strands in. I quite like these strands. But again, if I decided now to put more in, I could put more in and then just put a little layer of the Angelina over the top. But you can then go and play with this to your heart's content. If you cut bits off it, if I was cutting this bit off to tidy it up to make more of a sheet, then just save all these wee bits, because you can meld them all together later and make something else of it. One of the sheets that I made recently, I've actually cut into triangles and put onto this piece of fabric. Now you can use Bondaweb or Misty Fuse in order to get them bonded onto fabric. Make sure you put it onto the back and then you're ready to cut. Don't try and cut the shapes and then put the Bondaweb on. That's a nightmare. Just get the Bondaweb onto the back and then cut your shapes and put it onto your fabric. Actually, it looks quite nice on that purple fabric, doesn't it? Here we go. The one that I made with, again, pieces that have been over ironed, so they're much duller. But I've worked a lot of stitching, nice machine stitching, you know, and that's a particular stitch on my machine that I really, really like and use a lot. And with doing so much machine stitching on it, I found that it naturally decided that it was going to be a curve, a dome shape. So I've actually encouraged that, and I've opened it up at the back and stitched some stuffing into it, so it does have a 3D effect. I'm not sure of the camera angle here to get you to see that. Yeah, you can see that. And then it's mounted on a piece of block board. This is a box top that I made, and you can see that it's not quite as shiny all over. There are some quite dull bits, and I don't mind that. I think the variety of that's quite good. Again, I've put these together, all these triangular shapes. I put them together with using my soldering iron. I'm a great advocate of the soldering iron at times. It's not something I use constantly, but it can be very useful. But that gives you quite a nice, attractive finish. And of course, once you've got this all spliced together, I've used a circular shape and gone round with my soldering iron to give me a nice, clean, neat shape on top. I'm going to use this wooden block to make the pattern come through this Angelina. I've got some teaseled out here, just even it out so that it's not all in a clump in the one place. And then when you're ready, put it on top of your block, even tuck in the sides if you can. Make sure that you've got plenty around the sides as well. If it gets a bit thin at the sides, it doesn't work so well. So just get that into position as best you can. And I have a sheet of a Teflon type material, this black square, and I've cut it so that it just covers my block, and put that down, hope that it stays there, and use your hot iron on top and just go down straight away onto it. Don't try to iron it and moving it around to begin with. Once it's established there, then you can give it a little shuffle. And what we should have when we take this iron off, let's see if that has done sufficient. I'm not going to lift it up straight away because it's really quite hot. That material gets very hot, so just take your time, don't get burnt. And you should be able to see the design emerge on the top. I'm going to lift that up so that you can see it better. You can see that there. Now I'm going to lift this gently off. If I find that it's not as embossed as I would like it to be underneath, then I can just put it back down and take the iron over it once more. No, I think this is looking okay. I think we can take this off. And yes, I think we've got a jolly good, I don't know that you call it, an embossing. I'll call it an embossing. It's not so much a print. But these are just the ordinary printing blocks that I would use if I was working with paint or dyes. And I've got a whole selection here, all the different blocks that I've tried out. I think that square one is particularly effective. But the colour change can make a difference too. This pale green one isn't quite as distinct looking. It doesn't seem to have the same indentations in it as that one does. and that was a very crinkly kind of Angelina, but it's worked fine, and depending on what project you're doing, these may be absolutely right for whatever it is you're up to. That turquoisey one comes up really well. It's a very distinct pattern on it, but it's a fun thing to do. I'll give this wee one a go, and I've got some lilac-y Angelina here that I'm going to have a go at. Let's just move these back. But don't try to put all your Angelina on in a oneer. Just take it and teasel it out, just as I'm doing here. You'll find it works better than trying to get it all done immediately. Tuck the sides in if you can. It will give it a better finish at the sides. Now, any of these items that you've made can be trimmed at a later date. You know that you can use them with the fuzzy edges, or you can trim them off. There we go, and I'll just pop that on the top. Is it going to balance? Yes, it is. Hot iron straight down on top, and that will give you the best distinct design. I think that probably is it, but we'll test when we lift this off. Oh, it is hard. I'm not sure that that has been sufficient. We'll give it a, oh, I tell you, I've maybe been leaning on that other block that's there. All the best plans of mice and men oft gang awry. Let's see, I think we've got lift off here. It's even rather pretty on this side, which is very smooth, but there we go. Turn it over and you've got that embossed design, and it sparkles nicely. And there's one that's already been cut out. You can see the smooth side and the embossed side there. If you've already made a sheet of Angelina, then try wrapping it round a handle of something. It can be a paintbrush handle or just whatever comes to hand, piece of dowel rod, and wrap it quite tightly. I think I'm not getting this as tight as it ought to be. Quite tightly around that. Then put it onto your table and just cover it with the parchment paper again. Take the iron over it and it will all fuse together, rubbing it backwards and forwards or rolling it backwards and forwards until the whole thing comes together. Let's take a wee look at that and see if it has. It has, I think. Maybe one more wee roll over it. And you can make bead-like things. I've done a piece which I'll show you later in the gallery space at the end of the video. But it then can peel off the handle quite easily, and there you have a bead, and you can trim off the ends, make it nice and neat, a bit like these ones here that I've got. And you can do whatever you fancy. I sometimes cut them up into small pieces and then give them a good iron on top, just banging the iron down on them. Again, always with your parchment paper on. And you get these almost flower-like shapes, and you can work into them with stitching. Some of them have fused together quite nicely. I'm going to shut up now, and I hope you have some fun working with Angelina.